Interpreter tonight is Yulanzale. Now, even as government continues to mop up about 300,000 candidates who sat KCPE in last year, 2023, and are yet to report for their secondary schools education, questions have emerged over how these huge numbers of learners missed school fees. Who is benefiting from the various bursaries and scholarships cutting access across elected leaders and private institutions? Is there fair criteria of distributing these funds, or are the resources benefiting unserving learners? Let's begin our broadcast. Our very own Chemtai go in.
It is the second week since Form 1 students reported for their first time of learning across the country. However, hundreds of thousands are still stuck at home for lack of school fees, this prompting the government to begin mopping up the learners to achieve its 100% transition policy. But the bigger question is, why are these students struggling? Yet there are a number of available modes of funding, including NGCDF, scholarships through private institutions, and other programs run by elected leaders. One such worrying case is that of Salome Cheptoo from Belgut constituency, who despite scoring 370 marks, is yet to report to Moi Siongiroi Secondary School for her secondary education due to her inability to secure funding. A similar story shared by Vivian Cherotich from Kipkelion West constituency, who is watching as her light slowly dims.
Mimi nilijaribu ya county, lakini mimi sikupata yeyote. Ya equity mimi sikupata, tena ya elimu program scholarships sikupata, na ya help sikupata. Tulienda kujaribu ya CDF, ikasemekana kwamba kwanza niende shule alafu nipata admission, alafu sasa nijaze form, lakini sijaenda shule kwa sababu fees inatakikana hiyo siku.
Kwa familia yangu hakuna mwenye join secondary school. Nikipata nafasi nitakuwa wa kwanza ili nasaidie mandugu zangu na familia yangu.
This raises questions on what is the criteria of distribution of bursaries and why are so many needy cases like that of Salome still seeking financial support. In the 2022-2023 financial year, the National Constituency Development Fund NGCDF has been allocated an estimated 53.5 billion shillings. Members of Parliament are allowed to spend at least 40% of their allocation per constituency on bursaries. In this case, that translates to slightly over 20 billion shillings. Besides NGCDF, there is 22,000 shillings in capitation by the government for day scholars. County governments also offer scholarships. This besides scholarship programs offered by private institutions and the national government under Elimu scholarship program. With all these, why are needy students still locked out? Is there disparity in the distribution? Are there students that are receiving multiple funds? Former Kenya Secondary School Heads Association National Chairman Kahindi Muli admits that there is a challenge in management of bursaries, proposing that there should be a central point where all beneficiaries are listed to address cases of one student getting multiple bursaries. It appears the matter has caught the eye of the government. Basic Education Principal Secretary Belio Kipsang says they are moving to institute measures that will deal with possible instances of discrimination.
We are revamping Jomo Kenyatta Foundation so that it can be able to coordinate all these bursaries. It can be able to build a database of all beneficiaries so that there is no double dipping. A child does not benefit from CDF, from the county, from Elimu. So we are revamping Jomo Kenyatta Foundation so that it can be able to provide this coordination and support to all our partners in this particular area of supporting our children.
In Kathiani constituency, MP Robert Mbui says the criteria for distribution is a people-led process. They receive an estimated 42 million shillings covering 8,000 students. The money is shared equally in the 22 wards. Then distribution is done in the villages where members determine the amount based on the need. Dagoretti North MP Beatrice Elachi acknowledges the challenges in distributing the bursaries.
Let us ensure, as we go to CBC, we reorganize the system properly, that every child has a right, as per the Constitution of Kenya, to go to school. Now, even if you're saying they are going to school, yes, I will agree, you'll send all the money. So what happens to the effects? Because you find a parent who a child has performed very well, and she comes and she just gives you.
With a solution not in sight just yet, it is the hope of needy students that they will stumble upon well-wishers to breathe life to their secondary education dream. Chemutai Goin, Citizen TV.
All right, Going, thanks so much for that. On to a topic that's going to be the main focus of tonight's JK Live. Physical public participation over the proposed social health care insurance are set to begin by the end of this week. The Ministry of Health has already started receiving views on the proposals online, but is set to allow those who would want to appear in person to do so. But even as public views are collected, the regulations released by the ministry outlines what the healthcare services will be available under the various funds. And as our very own Brenda Wanga reports, cancer patients will be among the biggest beneficiaries of the scheme if fully implemented.
While the online public participation kicked off on Monday, members of the public will, starting this Friday, get a chance to interact with the proposed social health care insurance regulations that are aimed at making operational the Social Health Insurance Act of 2023.
All right, Health Committee, National Assembly.
The Act brings to life 3 funds that will cater for the healthcare needs of the public registered as members of the Social Healthcare Insurance Fund. The Primary Healthcare Fund will offer services at the dispensaries and health centers across the country. Members will be able to access both outpatient and inpatient services in the areas of promotive, preventive, curative, rehabilitative, palliative and referral services. This will include consultation, diagnosis and treatment of diseases, including ear, oral and eye infections, mental and behavioral conditions, as well as screening for diseases and last expense services that include preparation of bodies in the mortuaries. The Social Healthcare Insurance Fund, on the other hand, will cater for health services offered on referral from the lower health facilities. The health facilities from level 4 to level 6 will accord members services like surgical procedures, including transplants and implants, screening of non-communicable diseases, palliative, critical care, cancer management, including radiotherapy costs of up to 25 sessions and chemotherapy costs of up to 10 sessions. Those members who will find themselves facing health emergencies or suffering from chronic illnesses will benefit from coverage under the Emergency, Chronic and Critical Illness Fund that will, amongst other things, provide treatment of diseases like type 2 diabetes, end-stage kidney disease, which will see patients receive 3 dialysis sessions per unit for 1 year, as well as cardiac and pulmonary conditions, trauma and shock. They will also be qualified to use ambulance services in cases of emergencies. The funds also provide for treatment outside the country in case the treatment needed isn't available locally. Brenda Wanga, Citizen TV.
All right, Brenda, thanks so much for that. Now, over 1,000 cases of conjunctivitis, also known as red eye infection, have been recorded in Mombasa County, prompting the County Health Department to issue an alert to residents there. Mombasa County Health Officer Abdullah Deleno says most of those affected are school-going children and youth, whom he has urged to observe hygiene practices to stop the spread. The disease has also affected other counties in the coastal region, with Kilifi County confirming increased cases in the last 2 weeks.
Mombasa Health Department is on high alert following increased cases of red eye infections, which was first reported in the neighboring Tanzania. The red eye caused by viruses, bacteria, allergens or irritants can affect one eye or both and has the following symptoms: eye pain, swelling, itchiness, redness and eye discharge. Mombasa County Health Officer Abdullah Deleno says so far the county has recorded over 1,000 cases, with concerns that the number could rise.
Yes, we have an eye outbreak, which is a viral in nature, caused by a virus subtype adenovirus, which is a common infection diseases, which is viral in nature, that has affected a lot of our young kids and others. And the numbers are significant.
Deleno says most of those affected by the outbreak are school-going children and young adults, a situation the county says it is handling through creating awareness, particularly in educational institutions.
You are just supposed to use normal eye drops or boric acid, which is perfect and it will just clear. But in case somebody feels like the eye is sticky and it's having some discharges, then he needs to go to a clinic nearby. We've already started school health programs where all our PHOs are in the facility, in the schools, and sensitize the communities around.
Despite assurance that there is no cause for alarm, Mombasa residents want the county to take awareness to public facilities to prevent a calamity.
Kitu inaenda kwa spidi moja mbaya sana. Ukisikia imezika mtu moja hapa, tena kesho imezika mtu mwingine mahali nyingine. Kwa hivyo hatujui ikiingia mashule, ikiingia makanisa, ikiingia bali watu wanakaa masoko huku, itakuwa vipi?
Inastahili kuwe kuna sehemu ambazo zimewekwa mahususi kwa watu, aidha kunawa mikono ama watu wawe pia wanajikinga kusalimiana kwa mikono. Lakini tunaona mambo yanaendelea kawaida.
In the neighboring Kilifi County, health officials have also issued a notice to residents urging them to wash hands with soap and water, avoid touching or rubbing eyes, avoid sharing personal items, stop wearing contact lenses until eye doctor says it is okay. Kilifi Health CEC Peter Mwarogo says there is no cause for alarm, as the county has previously recorded cases of red eye infections. The outbreak, which was first reported in Tanzania in December, seems to be spreading fast to other areas in the coastal line. Tanzania has recorded an upsurge in the last 3 weeks, with over 800 cases in Dar es Salaam.
All right, on to politics news now. An ODM leader, Raila Odinga, now says the executive has held parliament captive and rendered parliamentary debates on key legislation as a mere formality. Speaking in Kilifi County, Odinga accused President William Ruto of muzzling parliament and using it to have government policies rubber-stamped with ease and without scrutiny. And as Stephen Leto reports, Odinga says the state capture has extended to the judiciary.
Odinga was in the third day of ODM party membership recruitment drive in the coastal region toward Malindi and Magarini constituencies, where he also received defectors from Kenya Kwanza's PAR affiliate party back to the ODM fold. Odinga, while in Kilifi, said Kenya Kwanza government has embarked on state capture of institutions, including parliament, where government-sponsored laws and policies is not debated, but merely rubber-stamped.
The legislature. Now you have a situation where the legislature is now already captive. The legislature imekuwa captive. Wabunge wanapitisha kila kitu ambayo inatoka kwa ikulu. Hakuna chochote ambayo inabadilishwa huko. There's no debate in the current parliament.
Odinga claims that in 1 year alone, MPs have passed laws that should have been rejected, citing the tax laws that include the housing levy.
You must condemn this state capture of the institutions of governance, the legislature, and the judiciary as an affront to democracy in our country. And it must stand condemned in the strongest terms possible.
The ODM party also questioned the deal brokered in State House between the executive and the judiciary.
Koome alitoka pale na pesa ya kujenga mahakama. Koome akatoka pale na pesa za kuajiri majaji. Na hawa majaji baba, zile duru zinatuarifu kwamba ni mpango wa Ruto kujaza majaji ambao wanaambatana na Kenya Kwanza ndani ya mahakama zetu.
Mimi nataka kuambia judiciary, hata kama mulifanya mkutano na mukazungumza, you are an independent body, and because you are an independent body, sheria ni msumeno, yakata mbele, yakata nyuma.
Serikali hii imemsambaratisha mwananchi wa chini. Kazi zinatoka, kazi wanapeana wenyewe kwa wenyewe.
Odinga, in his tour of Kilifi, also announced that the Orange Party is gearing up for a major shake-up in its leadership and has scheduled party elections for April this year.
Sasa tutaendelea mwezi huu wa Januari, Februari mpaka March. Ikifika Aprili tutafanya uchaguzi. Na uchaguzi itaanza mashinani kule kwenye polling station.
nyinyi mutembee na Wakenya wengine. Ndio kwa sababu tunataka nyinyi msijazili kwa wingi katika chama chetu cha ODM.
Tutawaambia tupeni test na viti vyote vilioko katika pwani, tuwaoneshe kile ambacho kwamba kilikuwa ni chetu, tutakiregesha kiwe chetu, kile mlotuibia tutahakikisha tukichukue wenyewe.
Kwa hivyo tutaanza kampeni kabambe na hawa MCAs ya kufanya registration ya ODM. Na mimi sina shaka Kilifi County iko imara.
ODM caravan heads to Kwale County Thursday before winding up in tight at Aveta and Mombasa on Friday and Saturday. Stephen Letos, Citizen TV.
All right, Leto, thanks so much for that. Now, staying in the coastal region, and 8 suspects arrested over the alleged fraud involving irregularities in a 62 million shilling tender have been released on bond at a court in Mombasa. Among them are 6 Kenya Ports Authority employees and 2 contractors. The first 4 suspects were released on a cash bail of 500,000 shillings each, with the rest released on a cash bail of 100,000 shillings. EACC believes the suspects colluded to award a tender to a company belonging to the authority's employee. The tender was awarded to a company identified as Chemiso East Africa, belonging to an employee in 2016, but are said to have supplied nothing. The 8 have been charged with fraudulent acquisition of public property, conflict of interest, money laundering, forgery, and uttering false documents. The 9th suspect, who is a retired KPA employee, is expected to be arraigned on the 8th of February, when the case will be mentioned. Now, Cotu Secretary General Francis Atwoli has called out the government on what he terms as irresponsible borrowing, saying that is plunging the country into a debt hole. Atwoli challenged the government to seek alternative lenders and development partners, saying that the conditions set out in IMF and World Bank loans are making life unbearable for Kenyans. The unionist also called the government to come up with an urgent solution to lower the cost of living.
And did you hear something called structural adjustment programs?
The Central Organization of Trade Unions, Cotu, has slammed the government over its increased appetite for borrowing and dalliance with the Bretton Woods institution, the IMF and World Bank, whose lending conditionalities are making life unbearable for Kenyan workers. Cotu Secretary General Francis Atwoli accused the Central Bank of Kenya of collaborating with the lenders to intentionally devalue the Kenya shilling, further driving the cost of living to astronomical levels.
To put a stop on depreciation of a shilling, it doesn't reflect the actual economic activities on the ground, unless if they are answering to World Bank and IMF. And this will be dangerous to the Republic of Kenya. When a shilling goes down the way it is going, rates go up, everything is going to go up, and the general public will stand up against the government, and it will cause havoc, chaos in the country, and confusion in the country, and will not have a government.
While releasing a report titled Turning the Tide on Kenya's Economy, Recovery and Prosperity Through the Workers' Lenses, Atwoli pointed that current taxation policies have negatively impacted the Kenyan employees and urged the government to urgently restore investor confidence as a solution to job creation. Atwoli also questioned the government's wisdom of borrowing, saying the government cannot get out of a mess created by unmitigated borrowing, which he says has exposed Kenyans to overtaxation, which is unsustainable.
We must also ask our economists in the government, those in Treasury and Central Bank of Kenya, to appropriately advise the government that overborrowing is dangerous. When people are highly taxed, people resort to applying black market system. Like now, for example, pay bills are no longer working in Kenya. How is the government going to realize revenue for the purposes of running the same government? So government must review that area of taxation.
The union also proposes that the government should embrace stakeholder engagement across all levels and fully implement the outcomes of such engagements. Mary Moki, Citizen TV.
All right, Mary, thanks. 30 minutes past the hour. Welcome back to Jeff Koinange live here at Citizen Television. On to business news. And global chain store Pandat has officially opened its doors to Kenyan shoppers with the introduction of its inaugural outlet in the country at Nairobi's Garden City Mall. The retailer notes that the growing middle class in the country, coupled with a vibrant young population, was the main attraction to the Kenyan market, a move that has them investing more than $7 million to set up shop. Let's get more from our very own Jimmy Mbogo.
The launch of Pandat, a South African-based retailer into the Kenyan retail space, is set to create over 250 direct jobs, with more expected to be created in the supply value chain as the retailer expands across the country. The chain store, which has operations in 12 African countries, becomes the latest to join the Kenyan market, pushing occupancy at the Garden City Mall to 92% after taking up 8,956 square meters. Pandat officials say they will be seeking to rapidly expand in Kenya, with their second outlet set to be opened within the next 6 months in the current area, noting that Kenya's location and size within the East African market positions it to attract capital from foreign investors.
Kenya is the largest economy entity, especially in East Africa, and which will bring a lot of international investors to this country. So that's why we're launching Kenya.
Kenyan economy and business is very positive, actually. The fact that they chose Kenya as an entry point in their international East Africa, that's a positive thing for Kenya because we've embraced businesses, we've embraced investors. I think our president is very vibrant when it comes to that.
Cognizant of the harsh economic times in the country, the retailer is set to offer lower than market prices for most of its commodities to push volumes, a move that is expected to introduce Kenyans to Pandat products that have been sourced both locally and abroad.
The price point is really targeting that what we'd call wanjiko, or the mwananchi wa kawaida. So you'll find good quality but very low pricing. And therefore, in a way, much as you're saying, disposable income is decreasing, the entry of such retailers directly speaks to what is required to address that.
To further address the concerns that may arise owing to the retailer's pricing model, the retailer has been urged to run both retail and wholesale businesses to cater to small-scale traders.
We also extend a hand to the small businessmen of this country to benefit from what you have. Probably, you should be able to provide retail and wholesale kind of business to distributors. We don't have to kill our local investors by your coming.
Jimmy Mbogo, Citizen TV.
All right, Jimmy, thanks so much for that. At the same time, Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mithika Linturi has today received 16,000 tons of fertilizer donated by the government of Algeria. Speaking in Mombasa while receiving the consignment, the CS says the country needs 900,000 metric tons of assorted fertilizer to adequately produce food in the country each year. This year, the government has also planned to acquire 630,000 metric tons of fertilizer comprising of 50% basil and 50% top-dressing fertilizer. CS Linturi says the government has mapped and registered 6.4 million farmers who are expected to benefit from the subsidized fertilizer. The Algerian ambassador to Kenya lauded the move, saying it will strengthen ties between the two countries.
And we thank for the great support they have given to us,
with the aim of helping Kenya's farmers increase their productivity to meet the country's full self-sufficiency needs and to assure the food security.
And I believe this is a great partnership between Kenya and your country. We therefore hope that that partnership will continue and that the fertilizer has come at the right time, because the planting season is just coming next month.
As a country, we require 900,000 metric tons of assorted fertilizer to adequately produce our food. The government, through my ministry, is committed to ensuring that smallholder farmers continue to access subsidized fertilizer in order to cushion them against the high cost of production.
All right, on to our weekly feature for Smart Farm. And passion fruit is today one of Kenya's most popular fruits for both export and domestic markets. Small-scale farmers are increasingly taking up cultivation of the fruit, encouraged by the sweet returns from sales. Now, in a bid to improve earnings, farmers are now value-adding the passion fruit, using its juice to make cider products. Our very own Dennis Otieno tells us more on this week's Smart Farm.
Smart Farm, brought to you by Equity. Looking for a convenient way of receiving payments for your farming business? Get one Equity Till number for free. No sign-up fee, no commissions charged. Visit any Equity branch or call 0763 000 000 to sign up for free. Grow your farming business with one Equity Till number.
At this establishment in Nairobi's Babadogo area, the extraction of passion juice marks the culmination of a process that involves over 6 months of hard work. It all begins at this farm, which is 400 kilometers from capital Nairobi. Here, we meet Cyrus Kiplagat, a passion fruit farmer at Kapsamich village in Keio South, Elgeyo Marakwet County. His passion for passion fruit farming grew 5 years ago.
So I started a small, that's half an acre, 500 seedlings. Mbegu nilitoa huko. Nikakuja nikaituta huko, katoa seedlings. Kaongea na mzee, kanipea shamba. Hata nilikuwa nimechukua measurements yao. 3-2, 2-2. Nikaichimba, kichanganya manure venye nilisomea niliona huko. Nikawacha mwezi 6 hivi itakuwa imeiva, basi nikaiwekelea.
His breakthrough in passion fruit farming came after he secured a contract with Kenyan Originals, a local farm empowering small-scale farmers on the benefits of value addition.
One of the key things that we wanted to do was develop a product that helped to deal with the issue with fruit waste. So we know in Kenya there's almost over 50% fruit that goes to waste. And Kenya has the most amazing, luscious fruit, and it would be a shame to not use that to create a product that really brings to life what amazing products Kenya can grow. So we decided to use some of that fruit and create a value-added product through our cider and give it 12 months shelf life.
Here, the farm sources fruits locally from farmers like Cyrus to make its beverages, creating the much-needed market.
So one of the challenges with fruit in this market is there's not enough demand. So creating demand for a local product of using passion fruit in a way that's processed will really help those farmers. Second of all is also working with them to optimize their passion fruits and the quality of a passion fruit that we can use to get the best taste. We care about working with these farmers and also getting amazing quality taste for our end consumer so that they enjoy what they're drinking.
The process starts with proper sterilization of the equipment to be used. The next step is extraction of the seeds from the fruit. The seeds are then pressed in this machine to extract the juice, which is then blended with apple cider base and other ingredients. The next stage is fermentation, which varies depending on the quality desired. In essence, it will take roughly 75 milliliters of passion juice to make 1 liter of cider. With a guaranteed market for his produce, Cyrus has benefited immensely from the value addition initiative. Before this, he could sell a kilo of the fruits at between 60 to 80 shillings to brokers. But now, he enjoys roughly between 120 shillings and 180 shillings for each kilo depending on the quality. Just like any other venture, passion fruit farming is not devoid of challenges.
Passion kuna maugonjwa, kuna hewa, kuna mbegu. Kwa mfano kama ukipata mbegu Ukienda kwa mkulima akusia ile mbegu ile yenye sio certified, utapata itakuwa inakuja ikifika mahali fulani inakwama haiendi. Kama hewa kuna barafu, kuna fusarium inakula misisi. Kwa wadudu inaangusha maua.
The joy of working with real fruit is the taste. The challenges are the seasonality. So particularly with passions, we find that around September time, you have seasonality issues. So actually the supply is restricted, plus the supply that we get can be quite green rather than purple. So it's not necessarily ripe enough. So we need to find ways to make sure that we maintain great taste.
Today, many small-scale farmers grow their passion fruits mostly for the export markets. But there are a few farmers like Cyrus who still remain upbeat about the local market, which they say remains largely untapped. Dennis Otieno, Smart Farm.
Smart Farm.
It is exactly 10 minutes to the top of the hour. Welcome back to Jeff Koinange live here at Citizen Television. On to sports news. And Africa's fastest man, Ferdinand Omanyala, will begin his indoor season next week with 2 races lined up in France. The Commonwealth Games champion will compete in meeting de Miramar on February the 2nd and meeting de Paris on February the 11th as a build-up towards the World Indoor Championships slated for March the 1st to the 3rd in Glasgow, Scotland. Omanyala holds the national indoor record of 6.54 seconds over 60 meters, a feat he achieved last year in Le Vin in France. The 60-meter races are key for his speed ahead of another busy outdoor season, which will climax at the Olympic Games in Paris.
We've been doing nimefanya vitu zenye hatujafanya before, so mwili iko stronger. This year ni not to give yourself pressure. I'm not going to give myself pressure, and I'm not going to predict my results or my performances. It's just to make sure that kukingia kwa race ni execute the race as well, and to make sure that you get it right from the start.
From athletics to golf, and the Kenya Golf Union has received a major financial boost in the 2024 calendar, with long-term partners NCBA Bank injecting 18 million shillings for the Kenya Amateur Golf Championship Series and the 2024 Junior Golf Series events. The Amateur Golf Series will receive 6 million shillings, while the Junior Golf Foundation will receive 12 million shillings. The 2023 NCBA sponsorship for the Amateur Golf Series facilitated 162 players in various tournaments across the country. The series produced 6 golfers that will play at the magical Kenya Open between the 22nd and 25th of February. Now, the Kenya Open is part of the DP World Tour. The 6 golfers are Isaac Makoha, John Lijirma, Josephat Rono, Michael Karanga, and Taimur Malik. The Kenya Golf Union has rolled out a total of 28 tournaments, which start this weekend with the 65th edition of the Sigona Bowl at the Sigona Golf Club.
Developing golf from the bottom up. So most of this funding will go towards buying equipment, bringing more golf balls. We have 100 coaches who have been trained, employing them to be able to train underprivileged juniors to be able to play golf in Kenya.
The Kenya Golf Amateur Championship that we sponsored last year and which we will be sponsoring this year to the tune of 6 million shillings. It was used by KGU and certainly KLGU to identify the amateurs that are going to be representing Kenya in various tournaments across the world.
From golf to cross-country, and more than 500 athletes from 17 countries have confirmed for the 3rd edition of the Sirikwa Classic Cross-Country Tour, slated for February 3rd in Lobo Village, Kapseret in Uasin Gishu County. The global event is the 13th leg of the 2023-24 World Cross-Country Tour Gold Level. Athletes from Norway, Poland, Ethiopia, Japan, Uganda, Tanzania, Belgium, Great Britain and Germany have been confirmed for the one-day event. Royal Media Services is the official media partner for the event.
Athletics Kenya, in partnership with our
On to the AFCON Championships, and the Africa Cup of Nations in the Ivory Coast continues to produce surprises every day, with the likes of former champions Algeria and Ghana kissing the tournament goodbye at the group stages. And with exciting football on display, the fans have come out in their numbers to support their teams. Our very own Michael Koinange with more from Abidjan.
This is what football is all about, emotions pouring out with every minute of the matches played. These are Equatorial Guinea fans, elated after their team crushed host Ivory Coast 4-0 to send shockwaves at the tournament. This is what the fans have been enjoying, entertainment in each and every game. Even for the hosts Ivory Coast, they have fans traveling from across the world to watch their matches. Despite the loss, they are still hopeful.
For me, it's a good match. And the same place for the... Look, I'm not good in English, but I want to say welcome in Abidjan. And Abidjan is the best country
greatest country
in Africa.
And I hope we just win the CAN and we just get the thing. And we got it.
We will go, like we say in French, mollo mollo. We will win 2-0, next match 3, next 4, and the final is for us.
Abidjan has been ready for the fans, the city lighting up day and night as the fans stream in and out of the country.
At the airport, for every fan that is arriving, another one is leaving because of economic situations. Fans have decided to watch different games, maybe 1 or 2, as they enjoy the Cup of Nations.
We are here throughout the first round, and then depending on qualification, we'll make a decision to stay. But we are here to stay as long as our team is here.
And it has not been easy. Some fans have had to sacrifice a lot to make the trip to Ivory Coast for the love of their teams.
It was a lot because my ambitions were to come to AFCON, so I have to do a lot of part-time jobs just to collect my money here and there. So yeah, that's how I did it.
We planned from as far back as when we had qualified. We're a big group, and we all came down to support the country.
With the hosts not sure of advancing to the next round, the small businesses in and around the stadium are trying to make a kill, taking advantage of the high-profile matches with huge turnouts. Hotels have reaped big so far, recording near full capacity. For those without tickets, the hotels have tried to create the football ambience for their guests. With the last 4 matches of the group stage being played on Wednesday night, 8 teams will be kicked out, with 16 teams remaining for the knockout phase beginning on Saturday. The organizers are hopeful that the numbers in the stadium will continue to grow, as this promises to be a very unpredictable tournament. Michael Koinange for Citizen TV.